Dear students, you are heartily welcome to the National University online class. I am Mohammad Khalid Jaman. We'll be with you for the next 40 minutes and I will give lecture to you about Edmund Spenser, the poets of poet. And the title of the lecture is Edmund Spenser and his epic poem Fairy Queen, Book 1, 10-1. However, dear students, I hope all of you will be with me for the next 40 minutes and enjoy the lecture. Welcome to the National University online class. During this pandemic, I feel proud to be the part of this National University online class lecture as a research person. Please maintain the health rules. The lecture number is 7 and the title of the lecture is Edmund Spenser, the Fairy Queen, Book 1, 10-2. Let's start. Edmund Spenser is called the poets of poets. And you know, Edmund Spenser was born in 1522 and died in 1599. Spenser was an epic poet, a pastoral poet, an allegorist, a lyric poet, a sonneteer, a satirist, a painter in verse, a great master of music and melody, and a lot of versatile qualities we find in Spenser. And for his versatile qualities and his writing style, his word painting, his power of making story, characterization, stanza pattern, lyric, everything makes him poet of poet. The Fairy Queen is built on a large scale and it is written on epic style. In writing this epic work, Spenser took the Italian poet Ariosto's work. The Fairy Queen can be read and enjoyed as a story of epic adventure. So at first, we can easily realize that the Fairy Queen poem is written on a large scale with epic style, and we'll get some features and qualities of epic in his poem, The Fairy Queen. Fairy Queen is an English epic poem by Edmund Spenser. Books 1 to 3 were first published in 1590 and then republished in 1596 together with books 4 to book 6. The Fairy Queen is notable for its form. It is one of the longest poems in the English language, as well as the work in which Spenser invented the verse from known as the Spenserian stem. On a literal level, the poem follows several knights as a means to examine different virtues. And though the text is primarily an allegorical work, it can be read on several levels of allegory, including as praise or literary criticism of Queen Elizabeth I. In Spenser's Letter of the Authors, he states that the entire epic poem is cloudily and wrapped in allegorical devices. And the aim of publishing the fairy queen was to fashion a gentleman or noble person in virtues and gentle discipline. Spencer presented the first three books of the Fairy Queen to Elizabeth I in 1589, probably sponsored by Sir Walter Raleigh. So we can have the idea that what is about the poem The Fairy Queen. Actually, in Fairy Queen, he shows the virtues that a knight should possess. And it is written on allegorical pen. All the characters here are representing virtues of human being. And for these virtues, the knights can make the victory over the evildoers and over the devils. And in the purpose of making the victory over the devil and the supremacy of the virtues of human being have been portrayed here. And this is the main purpose of the writing. What do you find here in the poem? We find that here the poet has uses Spencerian stanza. What is Spencerian stanza actually? Verse form that consists of 8 iambic pentameter, 8 iambic pentameter lines, followed by a 9th line of 6 iambic fifth, 6 iambic fifth, and Alexandrine. The rhyme scheme is AB, AB, BC, BCC. So now let us discover. How many lines in this stanza? We find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Let us at first discover the rhyme scheme. Must, the pronunciation is must. The sound, we have to take it as A. Width, no similarity with must, so we can take it as B. Tusk and must is the similar sound, so we can take it A. Reeds and weeds is similar, so we can take it B. Deeds and reeds the same, so we can take it B. Long is a new sound that we don't find in the previous sound, so we can take it as C. Reeds and deeds is the similar, so we can take it B. Strong and long is similar, so we can take it C. Song and throng is similar, so we can take it C. So the stanza pattern is AB, AB, BC, BC, C. Now we are going to identify iambic fit. In the previous classes, we also discussed about iambic. Iambic fit refers to the fit. The stressed syllable is followed by an unstressed syllable. Means the first one is unstressed and the second one is stressed. And the two unstressed and stressed togetherly, the two syllable consist iambic meter. So a meter, here iambic meter consists of two syllables. First one is unstressed and second one is stressed. So we find how many feet there. Low I togetherly is single feet. A single foot. The men, here the two syllables togetherly consist. Another foot. Whose, muse. Another feet. While, long. There 2 feet. Jit, must. Another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As time. 1, hard, taut. 2, in, low. 3, leaf, shape. 4, hard, wet. 6. So, in this way, we can identify ambiguity. This is the way the poet, how he has designed his stanza pattern. And this is called Spencerian stanza. Okay. So, let us discuss the starting of the poem. How he starts the poem, why it is called an epic poem. At first, the poet invokes muse. He prays to muse for writing a new epic poem. Like this in epic, we find it. The epic writer at first prays to the goddess of muse and they write their poems. We find it in the Iliad. You are going to learn the poem in honors fourth year, and it is already made as you text in honors fourth year, and you will get the poem as in your syllabus and you will learn it, the Iliad. And you will also get the same invocation to muse in the secondary epic also, Paradise Lost. And in primary epic, you will get the same invocation to muse in Mahabharata, Ramayana also. However, dear student, let us discuss about the first stanza, how the poet starts his poem with the invocation to muse. Low I the man. At first, he shows his weakness, that he is very low as a writer, whose muse balsam did mask, and is uncovered with disguise. As time are taught in lowly shepherd ways, as time are taught in lowly shepherd ways, you know, pastoral shepherd, which how they sing their song, and his made songs in pastoral. Am now enforced to far unfettered dust, and though he wrote before about nature, about pastoral beauties as a shepherd, and he uses words of shepherd, but now he's going to write a very large and grand work, writing epic poem. And he says to goddess, I am unfit. For trumpets turn mine oaten reeds. Oaten, one kind of tree, reeds that is used to make actually to write something in ancient period. And sing of nights, and with this pen, he is going to sing, he is going to write about the heroic activities of knights and ladies, gentle deeds. Ladies love and gentle ladies activities he is going to write. Whose space having slept in silence long, the knights who were honest, who made a vital role in building a good society and good nation with their virtues, and he is going to write about this kind of activities of the knights in his poem. To praise having slept in the silence long, knew all to mean the sacred news he reads. Sacred news means the pure goddess. To blazon broad among her learned throng, fierce words and faithful love shall moralize my song. Fierce words. He is going to write about the fearful war activities, fearful fighting, struggle, and faithful love and love of the gentle ladies and knights shall moralize my song. And the aim of him is to give the moral lessons to human being, to the readers. And so at the very first stanza, we get the idea about the starting of the poem with the invocation to the muses. And he says that he is very weak and feeble. So he asks goddess to give him the power to write the epic poem, which is about the heroic activities of the knights and love of the gentle ladies. And his intention is to give the moral lesson to the reader. Okay. Help then, the Holy Virgin Chief of Night. The weaker knows to perform the will, lay forth out of thine. Your lasting spring, the antique rose, which there lie hidden still, of fairy nights and fairy tranquil, whom that most noble Briton prince so long shot through the world and suffered so much ill, that I must rue his when desperate wrong. Oh, help thou my weak wit and sharpen my dull tongue. Here we find that the poet actually urges to the goddess of muse, who is called the nine of all chiefs, nine all of the muses. She is the chief one, and she gives him the power to perform his will, and so that he can write down this everlasting poetry. And he uses the flute that became a single of pastoral poetry. And here you find that whom that most noble Briton prince, whom the most noble Briton prince. Noble Briton prince means Briton prince, the prince means King Arthur. So long shot through the world, once he did the honest activities and he did the chivalry and give the peace to the people and suffered so much ill, and after that a long time passed with the sufferings and illness, that I must rue his desert wrong. Oh, help thou my weak wit, and oh, help thou my weak wit, and sharpen my dull tongue. Here the poet asks to clue. You help his weak intelligence and sharpen his tongue. Sharpen his tongue. Help his weak wit. Means here the poet expresses to God that clue that he is very weak and his intelligence is not so much high, and he asks goddess to give him the power to sharpen his tongue and sharpen his pen so that he can write the epic. In the first stanza, what do we find? And we then eat, O goddess, the only bright mirror of grace and mystic dream, great lady of the greatest time, great lady of the greatest time, whom he adores. Great lady refers to Queen Elizabeth I, whose light like Phoebus, and she considers us like Phoebus, lamp throughout the world doth shine, and by whom he can see the greatness of the land, and who is a symbol of honesty, who is a symbol of virtue. Shed thy fear becomes into my feeble eye, and raise my thoughts to humble and to vile, to think of the true glorious type of thine. He wants to glorify Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, as to him, Queen Elizabeth is a great lady, and she is going to make the England a pure and peaceful one, to which to hear worship, oh dearest day divine. And by discussing the first, second, and fourth stanza, just before the starting of the Canto 1, the poet gives the idea about whom he considers to be the great one, and the great one is Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth I, whom he adores and praises. And the poem that he is going to write about King Arthur and the previous knights of England, and their uh, chivalry, their great fighting activities, their struggle, and their virtues. So, in epic poem, we find that the epic poem is rounded and centered with the protagonist that is considered the hero, and his intention is to serve the nation, and his intention is to involve him in war with heroic activities for the nation. And with the noble intention, he involves in war and makes a victory for the nation. Here we are going to find that he is going to write down the heroic activities of the knights, and in that case there are similarities between the epic heroes and the hero of the epic poem, the fairy queen. Okay, this is the first stanza of the starting of Canto 1. Gentle knight was speaking on the plain. The very first line indicates that gentle knight was speaking on the plain. Gentle knights, a knight who is very gentle, is just making a journey on the plain. He played in mighty arms and silver shield, and he has mighty arms and shield, wherein old games of deep wounds did remain, the cruel marks of many a bloody field. Yet arms till that time did he never will, his angry steed did chide his foaming deep, as much did straining to the cup to yield. Full Yule night he seemed and feared did see, as one for nighty gazed and fierce encounters he, as one for nighty gazed. And we find that there is a gaze with him and fierce encounters with, and it indicates that there are something fearful encounter that he has to face. At the very first stanza, we find that a knight is just making a journey over the field, and with him there is a guest, and he is moving forward, and he has to face some fearful encounter. Okay. In stanza 2, but on his breast a bloody crossing. On his breast, in his breast, a bloody crossing. Bloody means red colored cross, the symbol of Christ. He wore, he's wearing. He wears a cross red in color. The dear remembrance of his dying Lord, which remembrance means, which indicates the dying Lord means Jesus Christ, for whose sweet sake that glorious badge he wore. Sweet sake, for the will of God. As a good person, he wears glorious badge of Jesus Christ. And dead as living ever him adored. Upon his shield the like was also scored. Upon his shield, and also there is a cross in his shield, means in his shield there is the symbol of Jesus Christ. For soaring hope, which in his hope he had, that faithful true he was indeed the world. But of his cheer did seem to solemn said, yet nothing did he dread, but he was Peter. So we find that He is moving forwards with armor, with arms, and with a red cross in his breast and a cross in his shield. He is the bearer of virtue. He is the bearer of perfect religion. He is the bearer of the message of Jesus Christ and Lord. Okay, we find that the poem starts in this way, and now I am discussing about the characters of the book 1 and the Canto 1 and 2. The characters that we find: Arthur, King Arthur, the central hero of the poem, although he does not play the most significant role in this section. He is not actually plays the vital actions, but he is central. Arthur is in search of the fairy queen whom he saw in a vision. The real Arthur was a king of the Britons in 5th or 6th century in Italy, but the little historical information we have about him is overwhelmed by his legend. Actually, he is a legendary character that you find in England fairy tales, and also he, as a legendary character, was what was received the priority in many poems by the poets in English. Fairy Queen, she is also known as Gloriana. Though she never appears in the poem, who is Fairy Queen? Gloriana. She never appears in the poem. You don't find her. But the Fairy Queen is the focus of the poem. But she is the focus of the poem. Her castle is the ultimate goal or destination of many of the poem's characters. Her castle is the ultimate goal or destination of many of the poem's characters. Most of the characters' destination is to reach and to satisfy the queen and to reach there, making victory. She represents Queen Elizabeth. So, Glorina represents Queen Elizabeth. Fairy Queen represents Queen Elizabeth, among others, as discussed in the poem. Okay. Now we find Arthur, Fairy Queen, Red Cross. The Red Cross Knight is the hero of book 1. The book 1, Canto 1, that we are going to read. Red Cross Knight is the hero. He stands for the virtue of holiness. What symbolizes his character? Holiness. His real name is discovered to be George, and he ends up becoming St. George, the patron saint of England. The patron saint of England, George, he is given the title Red Cross Knight allegorically by Edmund Spenser. On another level, though he is the individual Christian fighting against evil, or the Protestant fighting the Catholic Church, actually he is the person, he is the saint who fought against the Catholic Church to establish Protestantism in England. And this George was given the name Red Cross, who is going to fight against all the evil activities in the fight. Una, Red Cross future and the other major protagonist in book 1. She is meek, humble, and beautiful, but strong when it is necessary. She represents truth. Una represents truth, which Red Cross must find in order to be a true Christian. Which Red Cross must find in order to be a true Christian. If he wants to be a true Christian, he has to attain truth. He is symbolizing holiness, but he needs truth. And holiness and truth, obviously both the two virtues are necessary to be the perfect Christian. Duessa, the opposite of him. She represents falsehood and nearly succeeds in getting Red Cross to leave the Una for good. She appears beautiful, but it is only skin. Duessa is the opposite character of him. So if Una symbolizes truth, Duessa symbolizes falsehood, very clear. Archimage, next to this, a major antagonist in book 1. Archimage is a sorcerer capable of changing his own appearance or that of others. In the end, his magic is proven weak and ineffective. Archimage, actually, he changing his own appearance means the persons who uh, are just in England in the period of Queen Elizabeth, the persons who shows that he is actually a Protestant, but in inner side he was Catholic. So both the characteristics he shows in where he needs to get to the facilities, they are just showing themselves in this way, and they are called the characters who always try to change their characteristics where they need to get the personal interest. Sometimes they say they are Protestants, sometimes they say they are Catholics, and this is the Archimage, who is also the character that have been portrayed here by Edmund Spenser in the poem. And you find some other characteristics, Britomart, Florimel, Satyrin, etc. Satyrin is the son of a human and a satyr, a half human, half god creature's character, and he is nature's knight. The best a man can be through his own natural abilities without the alignment of Christianity and God grace. He is significant in book 1 and book 3, generally as an aid to the protagonist. Generally as an aid to the protagonist. Human and satyr, half human, half God creature. Nature's knight. The best a man can be through his own natural abilities without the enlightenment of Christianity and God grace. Naturally, he is a good character and he is the aid to the protagonist. Okay, the very Britomart and Florimel character, these two are not needed to us, as it is these characters are not included to Canto 1, they are belonging to Canto 3. So we move forward. The characteristics, what the meaning here. Red Cross Knights, the protagonist or the hero of book, he bears the sign of Red Cross in his armor and his shield. He symbolizes holiness. He is also symbolizing Anglican Church. You know that England was in a conflict state in Elizabethan period. One is Catholicism, a Roman Catholic, and another is Protestantism. And the Red Cross Knight wearing Anglican Church means Protestantism, Protestant Church. The church that was reformed in England, they are called Anglican Church. Una, she is the daughter of the king, whose country has been ravaged by battle. She symbolizes truth. I already told you. The dwarf, he is the square who attends upon the Red Cross Knight. He is the square who attends upon the Red Cross Knight. He represents common sense. Dwarf is the symbol of common sense. Archimage, he represents hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Morpheus is the god of sleep. And Sanspar, he represents faithlessness. And these are the characters, and each and every character allegorically symbolizes the virtues and the evil virtues, good virtues and evil things. These are some other characters that we find in the other cantos, but not in the first one. Only find the monster. Allegorically stands for error. We find in the first canto. Una's father, he stands for Adam, and his mother stands for Eve. And there each and every character symbolizes some virtues, and some character symbolizes the evil qualities. Summary of the book that you are going to give you a clear idea about the summary. Dear students, we are going to give you a brief about the Canto 1. Just listen. At the very beginning of the stanza, we find that a knight of noble birth, means Red Cross Knight, was traveling on horseback in the company of a maiden by the name of Una. By the name of Una. who rode on ass. Who rode on ass. This knight was a loyal follower of Jesus Christ. Red Cross Knight is the loyal follower of Jesus Christ. And he wore the sign of a bloody cross. He wore the sign of a bloody cross, both on his armor and on his shield. For this reason, he was known as the Red Cross Knight. Why he is called the Red Cross Knight? As there is a red cross on his breast and a cross in his shield, so he is called Red Cross Knight. Una had approached Glorina, the fairy queen. Una approached Glorina, means Queen Elizabeth, for help to rescue her loyal parents from the danger. She asked the Queen Elizabeth to rescue her father from the danger because they were confined. They were confined with the threat of a dragon, and this dragon was ravaging their country. Glorina had directed the Red Cross Knight to help Una and her parents for rescuing them. And Queen Elizabeth ordered the Knight Red Cross to rescue the parents of Una and save them. And so he starts his journey. He starts his journey with taking the company of Una, and he has a squire who gave him the company, and he is the symbol of common sense. In the course of their journey, the Red Cross Knight and Una, followed by a dwarf who was a square. Dwarf means the square of the Red Cross. Red Cross entered a thick forest to take shelter against the impending storm. As a storm was impending, so Red Cross Knight was entered into a thick forest. Just when the storm ended, they came out from the forest. And whenever they were coming out from the forest, they saw a cave. The Red Cross Knight went into the cave to find out what was inside. With the curiosity, he entered into the cave to find out if there was something inside the cave or not. Una cautioned him. Una cautioned him against any possible danger, that he might face any kind of danger, so he must be very serious. However, he did not hesitate to explore the cave in spite of the warning of Una. He entered into the cave to explore something. Inside the cave, there was a horrible monster, half women and half serpent. Half women and half serpent. The Red Cross Knight fought against this monster. Red Cross Knight fought against this monster, and although at one point he was in danger of being killed by the monster, he was being killed. He was about to die, but he was able to win a victory over the monster and to kill it. And somehow, because of his virtue, because of his faith, because of his holiness, helped him to make a victory over the monster. And this is how he became victorious. Soon afterwards, the Red Cross Knight and Una met a very old man who seemed to be very pious. They met an old man who seemed to be very pious. This man took them to his dwelling where they could spend the night, and he showed his magnanimity to have a shelter in his home to Red Cross Knight and Una. Actually, this old man was a magician by the name of Archimedes, and he had sinister designs against both the knight and Una. So, what do you find here? If we just make a very concise and brief summary of the first canto, we find that breakfast night, taking the company, Yuna made a journey with an attendant dwarf to rescue Yuna's parents. And on the journey, he faced a lot of difficulties and he overcame all of the difficulties and rescued his parents. On the journey, in one stage of the journey, they found that a storm was impending, so they entered into the forest. Whenever the storm ended, they were just living out of the thick forest, and Red Cross Knight found a cave. And with the curiosity, he wanted to know and explore what was inside in the cave. But Yuna warned him that something dangerous might encounter or might attack him or might be very dangerous for him. In spite of her warning, he entered into the cave and he found there a monster. And he fought against the monster and at last he became victorious. And he left out from the cave and made their journey again. On the journey, they met an old man. And this old man told them to take a shelter in his home. Actually, he was not a good man. He was an evil. And his name is Archimedes. And in this way, the first canto ended. This is the very brief summary that I told you. And in the next class, I am giving you the total description about the total first canto and the important questions and how to you make answer in your examination. Dear students, thank you all to be with me for the last 40 minutes and you are heartily welcome for the next class. I'm Mohammad Kharizjaman, an assistant professor of English at Government Devendra College, was with you for the last 40 minutes. We should remain safe and sound. Thank you and bye.